Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the East Dubuque City Council meeting. It is Monday, May 5th. I ask that you please turn your cell phones off during the meeting and please be quiet during discussions. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Twenty-five 0501, call to order.
Belkin.
Here.
Bergmeyer.
Here.
Dagenhart.
Here.
Fleur.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Roby. Here. Mayor Digman.
Here.
Attorney Hess.
Here.
23-0502, official oath for newly elected officials in the city of East Dubuque.
We have an oath of office for Justin Taylor, Tim Fleur, and Jeff Bergmeyer. Justin, if you want to come forward. I'm going to go ahead and administer your official oath. I'm going to say the oath to you, and then you let me know if you affirm the oath, and then I'll have you go ahead and sign. I, Justin Taylor, having been appointed to the office of Alderman Ward 1 in the city of East Dubuque in the county of Joe Davis, aforesaid, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Alderman to the best of my ability.
I will.
Please sign that. Jeff Bergmeyer. I, Jeff Bergmeyer, having been duly appointed to the office of Alderman Ward 3 in the city of East Dubuque in the county of Joe Davies, aforesaid, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Alderman to the best of my ability.
I do.
Please sign. And Tim Fleur. I, Tim Fleur, having been duly appointed to the office of Alderman Ward 2 in the city of East Dubuque in the county of Joe Davis, aforesaid, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Alderman to the best of my ability.
I do.
please sign. Right here, sorry. That's my signature. Thank you. Mayor Dignan, the official oaths have been administered.
Thank you. 25-0503, recognition of council members. Delbert? We have a plaque here for you, sir. 25 years, the city of East Dubuque presents Delbert Belk in recognition of over 25 years of service to the city of East Dubuque. Presented May of 2025.
Well, thank you very much. And my name tag?
Yep. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Oh, sir, you are done.
I'm done.
You are done.
I have something I wanted to say.
Fight for it, Delbert.
Thank you, Delbert.
Thank you.
25-0504, city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Bit of good news. The Illinois Department of Revenue has confirmed the annexation of the Iron Paw property, which contains a new area dispensary, and informed us that we will be receiving the tax revenue going back to their opening in December. And I thank Sue Hess and her team for that and staying on top of that project. The meeting, we finally had a meeting with Canadian National Railroad this morning. The mayor, Alderperson Roby, our Public Works Director, and myself met at the site of the at First and Wall. I think it's safe to say that any issues that that they had with our plan work with the engineer that they sent out, and I've been in contact just asking for next steps with them. They plan to to give us drafts of a new lease that would allow us to pave the parking lot back there and remove the water from upstream in that area. So we'll have something coming before the council, hopefully before too long. Stormwater management, I just wanted to update everybody that the 2017 stormwater study is completed and has been sent over to WHKS. They're working on a plan for the repair and increase in capacity of the 3rd Street ditch. There were ideas that the DNR had. I think that they probably might be more extensive and expensive than are necessary if we apply some common sense. And so we're working on plans with them to be able to do that. Increasing the capacity there, the pumps and everything at the end of that ditch are sufficient for a good deal more water than we bring down there. And although the entrance of that water into the location where it can be pumped is another area that we're going to have to look at fixing. In the process of discussing the stormwater, so increasing the capacity of the ditch allows us to do a few other things to reverse the flow of stormwater, as I think I've talked about here before, reverse the flow of the stormwater on Wall Street. Currently, everything from Montgomery and to 2nd Street goes back to First Street and goes to a culvert under the railroad, which the railroad, as of this morning, was kind of unaware of. So we're going to both be looking at that culvert to see what kind of shape it's in, what the railroad wants to do with their culvert, and whether we can make better use of that to clear water from downtown. But also, in the long run, the solution is probably to reverse, instead of bringing water to the area of the city that's kind of a low point and holds the most water, bring it the other direction and put it in the ditch. We also have our planning. There are 3 culverts, and I know I've discussed this here before, but 3 culverts that go at 2nd Street and go through the dike in separate places. And we have a plan, or working on a plan to bring those over to the ditch also. Also restoring and improving the ditch would allow us potentially to bring water from the other side, 4th or 5th Street area, and instead of moving all that to 6th Street, where we have to put in supplemental pumps and everything to try to handle the water, be able to bring that back to the ditch. And the combination of those items, I think, could make a big difference in the city. So it's going to take some work. It's going to take some money, but we're working through that. Wanted to mention the community cleanup that's coming up this Saturday on the 10th, because in addition to the regular cleanup where folks can bring things down to the city garage, we've had an offer from our friends at New Era and River Bluff Dispensaries to provide some volunteers to help people with their cleanup. Not everybody can get out and clean up the things in their yard and things. And so people can take this slip, and there's extra ones on the table here. The information is available online or can be picked up here at City Hall with a phone number for Jarl, who's back here from New Era. Thank you. And so they can provide volunteers to both help people empty their cars down at the garage potentially, but also help people with yard cleanup. And so I think we can get a great start on the spring and summer seasons here by helping people to clean out their yards. So thanks for that. Wanted to recap the past 4 weeks because they've kind of run together for me too, but this is the 4th week in a row that the council's met, and I thank you all for your patience as we've worked through, I think, involving the council on the budget process and reaffirming the city is now in the black for the first time in a number of years, and we intend to stay there. The crisis that we had almost 2 years ago is over. We now have cash actually invested, and we are paying cash for things that had been borrowed before. So as we talked about, our number 1 priority was eliminating the deficit. That's done. Number 2 was paying cash for vehicles. We are now doing that. That's done. 3rd was paying off debt early. We've begun that with paying off City Hall early. So that's done and will be continuing. 4th is revolving funds to be able to replace vehicles. In this budget that we passed last week, that is begun. And so we've completed 1 and 2. We're working on 3 and beginning 4. And I think it's also important to note that we didn't just stop while we did that. We're replacing water mains, doing infrastructure work. And while we did all that, we also cut property taxes. So we reduced property taxes, city property taxes by 5% in December, which I think it's a great, it's not a huge amount of money, but it's a down payment on what I think the city should come to expect from the kind of management we're bringing, because by lowering our operating costs, we are able to put money into infrastructure and capital items, and then every year that renews and allows us to continually improve our financial situation. So I know we were just caught up in all the numbers the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks. So I just kind of wanted to give an overview of the accomplishments that we made over that time. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The only thing I have this evening, I wanted to ask that we please slow things down as a council. We please slow things down when we're going through agenda items. You know, let's allow time for discussion and questions rather than moving for a motion right away. You know, let's slow it down so we know that there's no questions and we have discussion. Then once discussion's closed, then we can move on with the motion. So that's what I have. Alderperson report, Bergmeyer.
I have nothing this week, Mayor.
Thank you. Degenhardt.
I'd like to thank Delbert for the time he put in on the city, he did a hell of a job. He worked hard, and we got things moving. Thank you, Delbert. That's all I got, Mayor.
Fluer.
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. Meyer.
Nothing.
Roby.
Yeah, thank you, Bob, for working on the new era light problem for the gentleman next door. He said,
Is it getting better?
yeah,
Good, thank you.
he says thank you for doing that for him. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Taylor.
Nothing.
Thank you. City Attorney Hess.
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works Director Van Ostren.
Not to the time, Mayor.
Thank you. Fire Chief Heim.
Just 2 weeks ago, we were notified by Canadian National that we got $10,000 grant from them for upgrading our radio system to work with interoperability with Dubuque County, and then when Joe Davis County goes to start. So.
That's awesome. Nice work.
And we bring this up every time, and thank goodness it's often, but the fire department, EMS, do a phenomenal job of finding dollars to improve their service to the community. So thank you.
Thank you. 25-0505, speakers from the floor. We have Jarl Potter. If you'd like to step forward.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. You can,
If you sit there, you can get the microphone.
just might have to turn the mic on.
Sure, the green light's on in the middle.
Basically, we just want to say thanks. Appreciate that, giving us the opportunity over here, and we really look forward to this year and the next. Going forward, if there is any type of charity event or any type of situation where you guys need help or you think we could be a benefit, just feel free to reach out, because we definitely are about helping pets, vets, kids, children, anybody, marginalized demographics, the whole 9 yards. We definitely want to get back to the community as much as possible, and that's basically all I wanted to come here and say tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
(25-0506) consent agenda. Any questions or discussion? If not, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Roll call.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Degenhardt,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Roby, aye, Taylor.
Aye.
(25-0507). Discussion and possible action to approve a liquor license for Miss Hyde LLC, DBA Miss Hyde's. Paula's here. If she would like to come forward.
We just purchased the building at West Second Street. We're looking to change names, do some remodeling, update it, and that's why we're here to get our liquor license.
Nice. Any questions for Paula?
Excuse me, what building? I'm sorry.
Second Street Slats.
Okay.
Are you still gonna have the gaming?
Well, yeah, we'll still have games,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Any discussion? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Degenhardt,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Roby, aye, Taylor,
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Welcome to East Dubuque.
Welcome. Thank you.
25-0508, discussion and possible action to approve payment of facade improvement award to Slats Auto Repair in the city of East Dubuque.
So we've been through the approval of this, but this is just approving the expenditure for half the cost of the signage.
Do we know what that is, Bob?
It's the next page.
So we'd be paying
I'm sorry. Well, sorry. Yeah.
like $1,700.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I should have broken that down.
Any questions or discussion? If not, could I have a motion, please?
I'll motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Degenhardt.
25-0509, discussion and possible action to accept the resignation of Justin Taylor from the East Dubuque Zoning Board in the city of East Dubuque. Pretty simple.
Aye.
All right, can I have a motion? Roll call.
Meyer.
Aye.
Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye, if I don't have to abstain.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Degenhardt. Fleur.
Aye.
25-0510, discussion and possible action to receive estimates for tuck pointing and masonry work, restoration at 193 Cincinnati, and confirm city manager's recommendation for award of same in the city of East Dubuque.
Thank you, Mayor. So the cover memo gives you the information on the estimates. Everyone got details from the architect, walked through, we took them through individually and gave them access to the architect for any follow-up questions or issues. There were five companies that took out information. 3 responded with estimates. Those amounts are on that page and included behind. R&W Restoration had the lowest estimate. I would say that all of them are excellent firms. All of them have great reputations. All of them have done a lot of this work over a long period of time. And I think we would be happy with the work that any of these companies would do for us. When I got R&W's estimate, there wasn't a lot of detail with it. So if you look at the page behind, I did a follow-up with them and asked a few more questions, just confirming that they would conform to the Illinois prevailing wage, that they would conform to the National Park Service standard, which is the standard for basically for masonry, restoration masonry work, and that their proposal did everything that was in the plan from Origin. They emailed back, as you can see, that yes, they would do all of those things, and that makes them all makes all of them puts all of them on the same footing. And with their estimate of $147,800, that is significantly below the other two. So I would recommend R&W Restoration of East Dubuque, Illinois.
Any questions or discussion?
I have a question. So, like Jackson's has everything in there, and Randy's willing to do the same with the painting of, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I went back and confirmed those questions. So Jackson does, they're in different formats, but yeah, that's true. I also confirmed that he is able to do it by July, which I think is reasonable, at least by the end of July, which should allow for the staging of bids should go out end of May or beginning of June for the general contractor, and that'll be a formal bid process. And so probably there's not going to be a general contractor who's ready to stage until sometime in July. And so the goal here is to get this project done and out of the way, as well as the questions that come up with doing this kind of work on an old building. And so I think that we will probably get better bids from the general contractors by doing this way and by clearing the decks so there's not people working on the outside while people are trying to get the stuff inside.
Any further discussion? If not, can I have a motion?
I'll motion to move ahead with that.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Roby,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer.
25-0511, discussion and possible action to approve an ordinance to allow hunting with archery in the city of East Dubuque.
Thank you, Mayor. So we've had a request. Currently, hunting is not allowed within the city limits, basically under any circumstances. There are not, that makes sense in the vast majority of places in the city, but we do have a few large agricultural plots that where there's really not a reason not to have at least archery going on. So we drafted this ordinance so that if you have a piece of land that's over 20 acres and you are hunting more than 100 yards from any building, occupied or not, with a bow or a crossbow, all going back to state statutes and following the law of the state, you are allowed to hunt on those properties. There is an amendment. So from the one that you got on Friday, we realized that we were allowing hunting so you could shoot at a deer, but you couldn't shoot at a target. So that seemed a little bit ridiculous. So the amendment, I can go through any of the individual changes to it, but basically the amendment allows for both hunting with archery and the practice of archery, so that you can shoot at targets as well as at animals. So with that, if there are any questions,
I think it's
Take
a great
those.
idea. Dubuque does it. They allow archery in Dubuque.
Any other questions, discussion?
Yeah. So I've been going through some of the ordinances from local communities around here, and of course you have to have a state valid ID, hunting license, Illinois habitat stamp, deer archery permits. Some people have guidelines on ages. Are we going to do that? A lot of them are only allowing 21 and older.
we don't in here because I think we could do whatever, but my thought is that we're operating far enough from buildings and things that the carry of a bow isn't going to be an issue. So I think it's safe. I think it's on these particular parcels, it's more similar to hunting in the country than anything else. And all of the state laws are incorporated into this.
Do the 20 acres have to be contiguous?
Yes.
It just-
Parcels, it
20
says
acres or larger, but
land parcels exceeding 20 acres. So that would be a contiguous,
are we going to have a city-issued hunting permit
no.
so that people realize, I mean, a lot of places they're having to require to register who's on their property, and we're not going to do any of that.
Well, I think that there are laws in place for trespass and things. If somebody is on property they shouldn't be on. It's the same issue in the countryside when somebody hunts on a farm. And of course, everybody who hunts an animal has to conform to the hunting laws. We have no power to accept them or to require them. That's all handled by the state, DNR.
One thing I would like to suggest we do recommend is hunting from a deer stand, so that it's a downward trajectory instead of straight out, especially with crossbows and stuff like that. That way, anything that's around, someone doesn't know the area, they're hunting in it, there's houses behind it, they're going down instead of straight out. Most deer hunters I know do hunt from a stand anyway, but I just think that's something we should add.
Yeah, that would. So it might get complicated because you might actually have a second shot that you would take, even if you were in a stand. And a lot of the best hunters hunt by still hunting, but if you were to, shoot a deer and go down to put the deer down, you would have to try to word around that.
Not sure how you'd regulate that either.
Yeah, so it would be hard.
A lot of hunters just go out and lean up against a tree and they'll sit by a tree.
So and I mean, like I said, if you have a wounded deer and you're putting the deer down, we would have to. It wouldn't be as simple as just drafting that. But
Well, I think, by doing that, you'd be making it hard for somebody that can't get up into a deer stand to hunt.
Handicap people.
Yeah.
Yep.
You'd be limiting them.
Well, and some landowners, may allow you to hunt there, but they may not want tree stands up. So, yeah, I think it all depends on where, who, and when. And
I think we're dealing with a very limited. I didn't count how many properties there are that are 20 acres or more, but I'm only aware of 3 or 4 that are in the city
Just for
limits.
deer hunting?
It doesn't specifically say deer hunting, but there's not. You can turkey hunt with a bow,
Yeah.
and turkey hunting you have to do from the ground.
Do we have a coyote season in Illinois?
I don't think so.
That I'm not aware of. I know, I'm more Wisconsin on that. In Wisconsin, there's not a season, Yeah.
So we would have to vote on the amendment first.
Right, and if anybody wants me to go through I've got highlighted the places that are amended, but basically it's every place where it talks about the practice of archery. Those are the sections that are added in the amendment, and basically it's the same rules. The 20-acre parcel, the 100 yards from a building. It just expands it so that a person can target shoot in addition to hunting, actually.
Any questions on the amendments?
I think as long as you're 100 yards away from a building or house with a bow and arrow, you're going to be fine, in my opinion.
All right. Can we have a motion to approve the amendments?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer. Roby.
Aye.
That's for the amendment.
Yep, that was for the amendment. So now we would need any further discussion on it. Otherwise, we need a motion to approve the ordinance as all.
Without any discussion, so moved.
All right.
Second.
Roll call?
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Dagenhart. Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer. Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
All right. Moving on, 25-0512, discussion and possible action to approve a resolution for the city of East Dubuque to donate public funds for the purchase of 4 park benches for public use in the city of East Dubuque.
So you're all aware of the kind of open area, the public area down between the dispensary and Colby's. That was a lot that looked pretty ugly before with foundations sticking up and weeds and all that. The developer of that building purchased that and developed it into, I think, a really nice public space. They planted trees. They're going to be putting in a water fountain kind of a thing. They've got plants and all that kind of stuff. And it is not an area that they did to generate revenue. They spent a significant amount of money to do it, but they're not going to generate any revenue off of it. And they are offering to have it open to the public for public use. And they're asking that we, so that kind of the exchange is we provide the benches and then people that can sit in the benches. So I think it's a good deal for us, and I think it's good recognition for people who invest in the city and things that aren't just revenue generating, but really beautify the city, and this does nothing but beautify the city. So I would recommend up to $5,000 for benches.
Questions, discussion?
So these are going to be put on private property, not public property.
Correct, they will install them.
I think it's a great idea.
Any other questions or discussion? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
Still move.
Roll call?
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Roby.
Nay.
Taylor.
Aye.
And Bergmeyer.
Yes.
Twenty-five 0513, discussion of taxpayer impact of FOIA requests in the city of East Dubuque.
So I wanted to bring this up just because it's something that came up this week, and I know that there's a history to these things. I want to be really clear. We follow the law. We are transparent. We will provide any public records to anyone who requests the public records. But in this case, earlier last week, I spent 6.25 hours on Tuesday and other time on Monday trying to decipher what was actually being requested in this FOIA request. I began it by reaching out to the individual and seeing if we could have a conversation about finding out just what the request was for and what information they wanted, and seeing if we could kind of come to some kind of understanding there. The answer was no, we would just work by email. So I went back and spent, in addition to Pam and Des, we spent, I say over 6 hours that I spent going through. So I included the FOIA request here just for people to see. And I wanted just to point out to people that a FOIA requests public documents. So documents that have actually been prepared already. It does not speak to the creation of documents, the analysis of numbers, the compilation of numbers or amounts. It doesn't do any of those things that some people think that a FOIA does. And so that was one issue with it. Another was that a lot of the numbers didn't exist in our budget, or that assumptions were made by the individual that about the effect of various numbers in the budget and things like that. And so I spent a lot of time just trying to figure it out because we couldn't talk about it. And so I wanted to bring this because, not because we are going to avoid responding to FOIA requests, because we will not avoid responding to FOIA requests, not because we're not going to follow the law, because we are going to follow the law. We are going to meet these things. But what we ended up having to do at the end was get a letter from Sue to the individual because there's a time frame involved. We have 5 days to try to respond. And at the end of 5 days, frankly, I wasn't much closer to understanding what the request was for than I was at the beginning. And so the letter, so you've got the FOIA request and you've got the letter from Sue following that. And I'm happy to go through any of that with anybody, but basically we asked for the extension of time and asked for a better understanding and a meeting to go through these things. So FOIAs are very important. Public transparency is extremely important. Part of that, so we have to be responsible as a city. It's paramount that the city be responsible to the public to provide any records that come under the law. But while we have to be responsible, I think it's also incumbent on individuals making requests to be responsible also, because these things can have a significant impact on taxpayers. And so my intention is that when we get, we often get ones that are clear and concise and ask for certain things. And we had one last week, we met it overnight. The next morning it went out. But then we have others that come in like this. And so I'm just going to report publicly when the ones come in that are very significant in cost and are difficult to meet, and because I think the taxpayers deserve to understand those things. So that's my purpose in bringing it. You all have it in front of you, and you have the letter. So we're being transparent with the FOIA request also.
Any questions or discussion?
Yeah, do we charge for FOIA requests?
You can charge at a certain point, and Sue, I think you understand it better than I do. But
Yeah, so the parameters of what the city can charge for responding to a FOIA are very limited. And so the first certain number of hours that the city expends in time, you can't charge. After a certain number of hours, you can start to charge, and after a certain number of copies, if the person requests them electronically, you have to provide them electronically. So it's not like the city is going to really recoup the costs that we have in this project.
okay.
This was all one FOIA? Not even I'm that bad.
Any other questions for Bob? I mean, I thought that was a great discussion and great talking point. Bob, I appreciate you bringing that up. All right. 25-0514, motion to adjourn.
John, I want to bring something up.
Sure.
Wednesday, I'm gonna go up and pick up the flowers for the Lions Club. I'll be down at the bank lot at 8 o'clock, start selling them for Mother's Day. So stop and get your flowers to support the Lions Club.
Anybody who loves their mother.
And Pam and Desiree said they'd pick up the ones for the city, because we get 25 at a crack.
You don't trust me?
Oh, yeah, you might be good with the pencil, but I don't know about the flowers.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Roll call.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer.
Aye.
Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Mother's Day already?
I know.